Okay. Could you please tell me your name?
My name's Nora Mauk.
Nora Mauk. And what was your relation to...
I was Marge's middle child.
Okay. What was one of the greatest memories that you probably had of your mom?
It's really hard to pick like a greatest memory. But she lived with me and my husband for 10 years.
Okay.
And then after I retired, like 2.5 years ago, she and I were like this. We went everywhere together, and she was my sidekick. She was my buddy. It's hard to pick a greatest memory.
Right. So, your mom enjoyed travel. You know, she had a very tight-knit family. And tell me about some of your times at the cottage.
Oh, so the cottage was a special place for my mom. It was like a retreat place for her, but she didn't hog it all to herself, which is really amazing thing about her. And that's how she was. She shared it with everyone. Like, we would have our family vacations out there and go out swimming and paddling in the canoe and the rowboat, and I mean, she just wanted everybody to share in that, and we'd have huge family picnics out there, like we have here today, like hundreds of people, and I mean that's just how my mom was. Like, she wanted to share the things that she loved with everyone, which is pretty cool.
Yes. What one memory of your siblings do you remember specifically related to your mom?
Well, I remember we had a birthday celebration for my mom, and it was very informal. It was not like a big party like we threw later in life. This was just us kids in the backyard, and we were on the patio and just being silly with like duct tape, and we put the duct tape on my mom's nose, and it was hanging down like an elephant nose, and she was just so happy that day. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, she's so happy. Like, I hadn't seen that in a long time, you know? So that was insignificant but really special to me, because I wanted her to be happy. So that was a good one.
What thing about your mom would bring a smile to your eye?
Well, I think just the way that she made everybody feel welcome, and she didn't judge people. She just would listen and just be very welcoming and kind, and you know, I hope I can do that. I think that was a great gift that she gave everybody, and I just would like to carry that forward.
My life, and Marge was just lots of fun. After that, her daughter and I got to be very good friends, and I would go to their house all the time, and I worked with Kathy. We worked at a farmer's market together, so I would always go to Kathy's house, and Marge was always welcoming, and she had a big family. But I always felt very welcome there. And then later I married into the family. I married my husband, and I'll never forget Marge. She threw a wedding shower for me, which I didn't expect to have, and I was just floored and flabbergasted by the entire effort. And that's how she always was. She always included me in her life, and she always included me in her family. You know, she was always just someone that was Aunt Marge. We would always go out, I'm sure people will talk about the cottage. We would go to her family cottage, which was out in Cardinal Lake. And it was just a really, really pleasant place. And she always had very specific things that needed to get done. She had rules. This is how it went. You had to do this, you had to do that. There was no variance from that, but it was always fun. So as time went on and I had children, and Marge was always there. And as life happens, she was always a model. She was always an example for how to manage yourself and how to persevere and continue on and do good things. And that sounds so stoic, but she wasn't. She was very sassy and funny and comical and intelligent and interested in what you did. When we were young girls, we would flip through her old picture books, and I always talk about her glamour shot because she and all of her girlfriends were sitting at the beach in their fancy little bathing suits, and they were all just posed, and it was just such a great image of a different time, and someone with just hope and life in her, and that's how she was forever. There was never a time that I ever remember her where she was not full of life and full of love for everyone around her. So I'm very grateful to have her in my life, and I'm very grateful for the welcoming feelings that she made me have. I really became a part of her family, and we're going to miss her. And just everything she did, she strived to be more than she was. And that's an example. She strived to learn more. She strived to learn about things, and she, like with her painting, she tried to do things that she didn't know how to do. She liked to travel. She liked to go places. She just always wanted to be a part of something. And but she was always giving. She never ever held back. And I'm grateful for that. Very grateful for that. We love you, Aunt Marge. Thank you. And I will wear this proudly. The girls asked me to pick, and so I'm going to wear that.
That is a gift from me.
That is a gift from Marge. Yes. Thanks for doing this.
So I am Evan Walker. This is my husband, Stephen Walker. I am daughter of Kathy Mauk, who is daughter of Margie. So Margie to me is my grandmother. This is my son, Keaton, and Margie is his great-grandmother.
And I'm Caitlin, and Nora Mauk is my mom, which makes Granny my granny.
There you go.
I'm Steve. I am Evan's husband, and I would be, I guess, Granny's grandson-in-law, if that's a title.
You just made it. I think just overall for Margie, it was just her overall personality just drew people in. She always was surrounded by people that loved her, whether it was friends or family. She just had a big group. From anywhere that she went, she would make friends. So we would be introduced to people, and it would be, this is my friend from work, from church, from art class, she would just, I think her personality just drew people to her because she was so loving. For me personally, memories that resonate for me the most that make me remember her love are growing up. I grew up in upstate New York with my parents and my older brother, and we always looked forward to traveling to see Granny when she lived on Montford Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember always being so excited the closer we got to her house. And I would just know for a fact that she'd be outside waiting for us. And I still remember once we got to Montford Road looking for her house, and she would always be standing in the driveway with my grandpa waiting for us to pull up. And she would come running to just envelop us in a hug and kisses. And like all was right in the world. Like when you got there, you were just like, vacation has started and we're here. And it was just a comforting feeling. That's my favorite memory of her.
Some of my favorite memories include she was always just really inspiring and encouraging, and she was very involved when I was into dance as a young girl, so like that was always really cool, and she was just like always so excited to like go to dance competitions, and it was just really fun to like watch her get excited about that. And probably same dinners at Montford, and she always had like the old granny candies in this candy dish.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And like
Candies.
exploring like the upstairs like attic and stuff, and like she didn't care what we did in that house, and it was just always really fun. She spoiled us. So
What do you remember about Granny that you loved? She was always so sweet and gave good hugs.
She was always willing to get involved. Even, so the story I'll go back to is when I first met her, we all went up to Pigeon Forge. And this is when I didn't know anyone in the family. And Evan was like, you know, my family's kind of crazy, so I'm just forewarning you. And I was like, I don't care. We all went up to Pigeon Forge, and even at the age she was at then, I thought she was way younger than she was, because anything that her crazy daughters wanted to do, what was that skit, Badger skit?
yeah, she like never said no.
She was willing to
like,
be involved.
okay.
And I was like, how old's your granny? Like, she was just down for
Right.
anything. So that I think brought everyone together.
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
That was a good vacation. We always had great vacations.
Yeah. She was a yes lady, you know, she never said no. She was like
She never
always,
questioned
Yeah.
anything we wanted to do.
I mean, she'd roll her eyes, but she did it.
This is my other son, Brody. So this is this is Marge's other great grandson.
Can you say hi, Brody?
Say hi. They're doing a video for Granny. Can you say love you, Granny? No nose picking. Did you love Granny? Yes. Okay.
So gross.
We're shy, so we're not going to talk.
So, what was Granny's favorite food?
Oh, Chinese.
Yeah.
She loved Chinese
Okay, so
and peanut butter.
yeah, she loved peanut butter. So, but the best thing that she would cook,
Beef stroganoff.
beef stroganoff, but number 2 was chicken and dumplings.
Yeah.
I just remember, oh my gosh, I would always remember going to her house, and I would just be like, is Granny cooking? Is she making chicken and dumplings?
Yeah.
And when she was, I was like so excited. So excited.
But yeah, when we would go out, her favorite cuisine was Chinese. That was like her thing.
Yeah.
There was a place out in Beechwood or something. I forget what it's called. That we used to always go to. But yeah.
No, we just love her immensely. And she's going to be missed by so many people.
I'm Ray Hamlin, and I met Marge 20 years ago. The day that I went in to register for the business school. I had made an appointment with the dean, and he took me in to meet Marge. And I walked up to the door, and she said, "You can't come in here." And I said, "What?" And she said, "You can't come in here unless you give me that sweater." It was St. Patrick's Day, and I was wearing a sweater that had shamrocks all over it. That was my first impression of Marge, and it never changed. That was just the introduction. She took me under her wing. I never registered for a single class in my whole 3 years in the program. every time I'd call her and say, I need to register, she said, oh, I already signed you up. She picked my classes for me. But that was Marge. Probably the best story was when we were on the trip to Europe together. There are several Marge stories from that trip, but I'll keep it clean. So there was one day where we had checked into a hotel in Krakow, and it was not a very nice hotel. It was very 1950s communist era, not very upgraded, and I had a terrible room. And so I was telling her about it. Maybe I might have been a little animated. And we were talking about it, and she's like, well, she had a double room. She's like, you could room with me, she said, but I'd be worried about your reputation. She wasn't worried about hers. She was worried about mine. So that was Marge. No, we became fast friends, and she would always get a little possessive sometimes, especially when I was with my other friends, because what she referred to as my harem. She always wanted to make sure that she was top of the list, and she certainly was. So it was hard seeing her in the hospital like that. So she was so full of life. If I lived to be 90, I would be very happy to have half the energy and half the enthusiasm for life that she had, and that's probably what I'll miss most about her. So, thank you.
I'm Peggy Macheski. I think I've known Marge for about 17 years. I know her through Ray, yes, and Marge wanted to go to all of Ray's concerts. So I would pick her up and take her downtown to the various venues of the concerts. And Ray was actually her boyfriend too, so we have to keep that a secret. So she was a little jealous, but she wanted me to drive. She was so much fun. I would pick her up at another place in Avon Lake at a shopping center, so it looked like she was driving downtown Cleveland, but I would drive and leave her car there. So we always had fun. She always told me stories about everybody, so I know the whole family. And she was such a blessedly funny woman. She would say, very wicked, very opinionated, but a loving person who just adored her whole family. She taught me many lessons about loving family even when you disagree with them. She was charmed and delightful and very human, and she loved all of us. So she's praying for us now in heaven. So blessed to have known Marge. Very grateful. Thanks to her whole family, you have made me feel very welcomed at this time.
I'm Barb Pileski, and I know Marge because I was fortunate enough to take watercolor classes and drawing classes before that with Marge and Nora, her daughter.
My name is Ginny Jones, and I am the mother of Mike Jones, who is the partner of Caitlin Bayes, Marge's granddaughter. And we also have taken watercolor classes together.
And my name's Helen Giblin, and I met Marge and Nora probably about a year and a half ago in art class. And I've enjoyed their company outside art class too, at lunches and stuff.
Okay.
So developed a friendship there.
Excellent. Excellent. So, if you guys could tell me from an art perspective, and I've seen some of Marge's paintings where she's done, some portraitures, some oils. Did I see a possible a chalk or charcoal?
Yes.
Also?
Yes.
Tell me about her passion for art.
Marge is very enthusiastic with her art. but she's hard on herself. She tends, as most artists, tends to criticize her work more than anyone else would, but she's very vibrant and expressive in her artwork, and it's just amazing, the colors, the techniques, and the detail which her paintings and her drawings and stuff show.
Yet Marge had a great amount of supplies that she collected over the years people would give to her. And she was so generous with her supplies. At our art classes, she would say, if anybody needs anything, I've got it. Do you need paper? Do you need this or that? She was very generous with her supplies. And she was also helpful in giving advice. We would share what we were doing. I would show her what I was doing, she would show me what she was doing, and we would critique each other's work. And the advice she gave was always spot on. Always told me what the piece that I was working on, what it needed. So I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss her very much.
And she was never critical. She was always positive in the advice she gave.
Oh, she was.
Yes.
Yes, always very positive, very sweet, just a dear, dear woman.
Right, and I know that, and I've been told that Marge drew and painted for many years, and even now she was always willing, whatever the teacher had for us to do, she was always willing to try it. You could tell that she did have a passion and loved it very much, loved doing it. And she would always encourage me. I'm new at this painting, and I'm slower than everybody else, but she would always encourage me, and she would always say, you just do it, you just have to try it and do it, and you'll be able to make something. You just have to keep practicing.
She did say that. She encouraged us
just have to keep doing it. And don't get discouraged.
And as you were saying, even though she did art for a long time, that she took what the teacher said, she was always willing to try something different and a different way of doing it.
Yeah, she loved doing it.
With a smile.
Yes,
lovely
with a smile. Yeah.
And laugh.
One of the hallmarks of Marge was
very good attitude.
Smile.
She was a happy person. And I'm sure all her life was not easy, and she was very happy. And she's always happy to see us and talk to all of us, and enjoyed being in our company at class.
Yeah, you're right about that, Barb. She would act like we were the most important person.
Yes, right, she would.
And a lot of us would come in and sit at our table and socialize with our group. She always made rounds and talked to most people.
Right, that's right.
She made the room.
Yeah.
And she'd give us hugs and kisses, and she's just a dear, sweet person to everybody. You make friends with her immediately.
So now we are pretty confident with 100% certainty that Marge and Jesus are sitting around talking about, the beautiful weather and how shiny those gold roads are. What do you think Marge is painting today?
I think she tended to like landscape, and colorful landscape, and sunsets and sunrises and vibrant things. And I think that would show even with Jesus is the fact that she loved nature.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that she would be painting maybe skies and trees.
Right, and flowers and birds, I know. And she gave me a little, and I'll treasure it always, she gave me a little kind of 5x7 picture of a hummingbird that she had painted just recently, and within the last few months, and she gave it to me. So I'll always treasure that. So yes, she loved nature and flowers and, like I said, seascapes, landscapes.
Oh, hello. I'm Al Ongst, and I'm a graduate there of John Carroll University, and I met Marge in the graduate school when I got my MBA. And Marge was such a big help whenever I enrolled and kind of guided me through the program. And it certainly was a blessing having her there, and I'm so thankful for that.
And I'm Judy Ongst, and I also met Marge at John Carroll University when I worked there. And I first met her, she was a golf buddy. So we played many rounds of golf together. She was a great golfer. And then we continued our friendship through little social activities that we did. Also, after I retired, and Marge was already retired, we went to Mackinac Island. And we went on a 3-day little bus trip, and we just had such a wonderful time and learned so much about her life and the wonderful family that she had, and her daughters and her son. And Marge was a true gift. Everything that she saw, she was amazed by, and she just had such a wonderful spirit for living and exploring. And we loved the girls from our golf league. 3 or 4 of us would love coming out and visiting with Marge out here at Nora's home. And I think that was a bright spot in her week, and it certainly was for us. So we had so much fun with Marge. And I remember too, a couple years ago, I came out to see Marge. I had a graduate class out in Westlake, and I said to her, gee, let's get together for lunch. So Marge was always up for having fun, getting together for lunch. And what a sweetheart. She was truly an angel here on earth. And I really treasure the friendship and the years that we knew each other.
What thing sticks out to you the most?
Her kindness, her gentleness, and her wonderful sense of humor. And I love thinking of Marge's laugh. She just had an infectious laugh, and she was so high-spirited that she just, her enthusiasm just spread to everybody, so you couldn't help but feel really wonderful around her.
She always was willing to take the time to do whatever you needed help on. And she certainly helped me at John Carroll in the graduate program. So I was really blessed that she was there at the time when I needed her.
Fantastic. Do you have any other last words?
Marge, we love you, and we know you're looking down on us. And you have the most magnificent family that loved you, and we're so happy we could be here today to celebrate your fantastic life.
My name is Rose Baez, and I'm a friend of Marge. I've met Marge through Jan and Nora.
My name is John Baez. I am stepmom of Nora, or Nora is my stepmom. So I've known Marge for over 30 years. So.
I'm Karen Obermeyer, and I'm a friend of Marge's. I met Marge through Nora and Jan.
Well, she had a flair for life. She endeared herself to everybody that she met. Obviously, I've known her going back to the late 1980s. I was just a little kid, and I remember her always just having a really bubbly personality and outgoing, and she was just a very compassionate person.
Very, very wise. I would always enjoy meeting Margie for coffee, and just the stories she'd tell me about the kids when they were little, and the things that went on in her life, working at one place, and then she ended up at the college, and she was just an inspiration. She really was.
Yeah, she was a sweet lady. She was one of the first people you would see in the kitchen whenever we came over here for a party, and always nice to talk to, and always listened. And you felt like you were the only person in the room when you were talking with her. She wasn't distracted and looking at other things, and she always kept up on what they were doing health-wise and just in their lives and everything. And she'll be missed. She really was a good sport about a lot of things. I know her, you probably heard from her daughters, but they would take her out shopping, and she would do things like get a streak of blue in her hair, or at the at the beauty parlor, or they'd try on silly hats and stuff like that. So
Very trendy.
she was, and she was very, very stylish, very, very trendy. Yeah.
She had a flair for life. No
Yeah,
doubt
she
about
did.
it. Yeah.
She really did. Yeah.
So what is Marge dislike?
Cold days for sure.
Oh.
She loved the sunshine. She loved to go sit outside, in the patio and that. But she just hated the cold days.
Yeah.
She lived for the spring, so she could go outside, and she had a way of communicating with the birds and just nature.
I can't think of anything she disliked.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she loved her family. I know they completed her, and I know she loved her being able to be creative with her drawing classes and things like that. And she seemed to have a host of friends, a lot of friends, different ages, and so she's definitely made an impact, positive impact in people's lives. She's very accepting.
I was going to say, if she disliked anything, I really never knew about it, because she always had a positive outlook, and
Yeah, she never talked about anybody.
Yeah, and she like my aunt said, she had a lot of friends, and in all walks of life, very accepting, and very endearing to community, and just overall just a really, really positive person Marge was.
And a practicing Catholic, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very much so.
Marge's connecting with nature.
Oh boy.
Well, she loved animals.
She was an animal lover
Yeah.
at heart, for
Especially
sure.
cats.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
the cats. And
And you can tell from a lot of her drawings that,
and I know that her daughters would take her to the lake. She loved the lake. They'd take her to the lake, and just she'd put her toes in the water and just have a great time with Nora and Kathy and Debbie. I really think she loved being outdoors.
Yes.
She just
Yeah.
loved it. She did not like the cold days. Because typically she knew she wasn't going out if it was a cold day. But she just loved nature. She loved everybody.
yeah.
Any last words to say?
I just, she will be missed. She definitely will be missed by everybody.
Yeah.
And she just by going to the service last week, the amount of people that were there, the turnout that she had, it was kind of like a microcosm of her life, because she had so many friends in different aspects, and and there was a lot of support there in her passing, and she's on to better places now. So we miss you, Marge. We know you're out there.
Yeah, we know
my
you're
sister-
listening.
My sister was saying, it was going to be weird to come in here today because Marge isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
But being in this room, I almost, it may sound weird, but I feel her presence
Yeah.
in this room. Which is,
Yeah, there's an energy in here. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, I'm Tom Flynn, and Marge is married my Uncle Eddie on my grandmother's sister's son. So he's my, I think, second cousin, Uncle Eddie would be. And Marge married Uncle Eddie, and I can remember the wedding.
Oh, can you? Okay, and I'm Marilyn Flynn Maruna, and I'm Tom's younger sister. We're one of 6 in the family.
I can remember the wedding, and Marge made a special effort to make sure she said hello, well, to me anyway, and she was, I still remember this, just the sweetest person, you just very sincere. I'll have to say one thing, she got, I had red hair that was worse than it is now, and she always would call me Torchy, and that was, I was always so embarrassed when she would call me that. But she was such a sweetheart that I wasn't upset with her. I was just embarrassed, but just kind of a silly memory. I don't know.
Well, that's all right. Well, I guess my memories, I'm of course much younger than my older brother here. I'm
You'd
10
never
years,
know that, though,
10
would
years
you?
younger. So anyway, she worked with my mom for a while, and I'm not sure if Mom had the job first or if Marge was working at John Carroll.
At John Carroll, yeah.
Yeah. But
And
anyway.
it sounded like maybe they had the same job.
The receptionist type job?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. But what I remember about Marge was just her unbelievable energy and just her spunk. Just very, very spunky and fun. And she was dealing with a lot. She had a lot going on, you know, raising her children. And I just always liked her so much. And Mom and Marge took swimming lessons together. And what they would do is they'd get their good exercise in, and then they'd make sure they'd go out and get some ice cream afterwards. So they'd go to DQ. And she was good for our mom because of her positivity and her, she just really was fun to be around. And I think that she helped her with the water, fear of the water. You know, I think she was a good buddy to have in the water with her. So that's my big memory.
Well, Marge was always positive. I moved away to school when I was only 19, so from that point up until fairly recently when I moved back, I hadn't seen Marge for a long time. And we went to the daily reunion. It was nice to get reacquainted with her. She's got a great, or has a great sense of humor, and so do the girls, her girls. Just kind of like a wry sense of humor, kind of like my dad's sense of humor, Irish sense of humor, I guess. And well, you can
very
see it.
Fun.
You can see it from the pictures what she was like. She was just.
They're
she
all
didn't take herself too seriously.
No, they're all creative, fun-loving, and she just raised some wonderful, wonderful kids.
I can't think of anything to add other than I've enjoyed getting to know the girls who I hadn't known before, and I was happy I was able to get to see Marge when she was, this would have been last year, she was still in, spry and, good spirits, a lot of fun to be with.
And I did too, actually.
We'll all miss her.
Yes. I ran into her in Westlake, and the girls were bringing them out for like family dinner day or whatever. And it was a huge coincidence that I just happened to be going into this restaurant here in Westlake. And she remembered me, and they were all, of course, having a good time, laughing and having a good time. So I guess I've been thinking about the reunion in heaven. And
gosh, yeah.
They're having a good time, and what I love is the, again, I mentioned earlier that she had a positive attitude, and these wonderful children of hers are viewing her time now as just so joyful.
A celebration
So
of
joyful.
her life.
Yeah. So for that, we're grateful.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm Joe Kolar. I'm Kathy Kolar's husband. Marge worked with Kathy. I knew her briefly for some time, but Kathy knew her much better than I did.
My name is Kathy Kolar. I'm his wife, and I knew Marge from John Carroll University. We both worked there, and she was a sweetheart. I worked in registration, and she would come in from the business office and be really, so helpful. And then we golfed together too. There was a John Carroll League, and I think that's where we got to know each other even better. And she's a wonderful woman.
I'm Joan Lauer, and I also worked with Marge at John Carroll, and she was a great gal and a great friend, and I love her dearly.
So, if you guys could tell me one of your most fond memories of Marge.
I have one that isn't.
Oh yeah.
It's just a funny one.
Yes, yes.
It's fun too, but
Yes,
at any rate, Marge was always thinking of things to do. And she'd get me involved. I was her partner in crime. And the one thing she got us to do, and she said, and we mustn't tell Ed, her husband, or Chick, my husband, this is just between you and me. We were going to a place where they wrapped you up in sheets like, so you were all together, and you had to trot for 45 minutes. And when you were through, you were supposed to lose an inch in your waist, and it didn't work. But that was one of the things that Marge got me to do, and she was a lot of fun. I love her.
Oh, wow.
When I think of Marge, I think of fun. And again, her bands. I don't know a specific one. It was an ongoing thing that she was so sweet at work and helpful, and then fun at the golf course. And then after we retired, Judy Ungst, another friend, and she would go out to lunch, or we'd come over here, and it was just, she was just a wonderful person and fun. My mind's a blank.
One of the things she did for me when I worked at John Carroll, no one was in the office, and she came in and she cut my hair for me.
You never know what she was going to do.
She'd do anything. But that was kind. I didn't have to go out to the beauty shop.
Right.
But when one of the students would have a heart, am I supposed to be looking at you or that?
Oh, look at me.
Okay. When she would be helping the students, and she'd come down to the Student Service Center, if they were having some problem registering or anything else, she wouldn't just sit there in her office and send them down. She'd come down with them, and that was always so helpful to them and to me, getting them registered. So she was always kind.
Right. Any last words you'd like to share with the family?
I didn't meet her on too many occasions, but I enjoyed her thoroughly. But then at her wake just recently, I heard she was an artist, but when I saw all of her artwork displayed all around the funeral home, 30, 40, 50 pictures plus letters she wrote in her very early age, totally impressed. Never imagined that can't imagine. I'm not an artist myself. I just can't imagine the skill and the time and the effort and the interest that she took in art, and how much you really need to appreciate that in a person.
She's going to be missed, obviously. She just was a wonderful woman, a beautiful woman. Seeing the pictures of her at her wedding and everything, it's just, but she was beautiful up till the end. So we'll miss her.
Yeah, she was a fun-loving gal. She just could think of the best things to do. I wish I could think of some more of them right now that she got me involved in, and we just always had a good time. One time she said, let's go roller skating, and so we went roller skating. And I fell, and I wasn't at work the next day, so she came over with my boss, and they came over to see if I was all right. But here, she was just like that. She would come and she'd always make you laugh.
Yes.
Anything that happened,
yes,
Marge would make you laugh, and she was a dear soul.
I don't even remember.
Okay. Well, I first met Marge when I was probably about 15. She is Nora's mother, and Nora married my father, so we're kind of like a blended family. She is, our children have always considered her Granny. And then so you probably met her in probably 93 or 94 when we got married.
Yeah, so her name is Carrie, I'm Bill. Sorry, forgot that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I probably met her in 94, 95, 94 when we got married. I don't even remember meeting her, but I do remember that her and I have always had this little type of a battle going back and forth about age and about ailments and so forth. And it got to the point where it was a normal thing. You walk in and you say, "Hey, old lady, what's going on?" You know, or it'd be like, "Man, you look like you're 200 today." You know, so it was always one of those things between her and I, which was a lot of fun. Even up till the very end, at the home, I would say stuff like that to her. You'd get some sort of emotion, get a reaction from her. She probably wanted to cuss me out. So,
yeah.
But she got there sometimes.
Yeah. And this was her chair, so whenever we would come over, and if she wasn't in the kitchen offering to make us something, we would peek our head in and she would be watching TV right here. So yeah, there's definitely a void, for sure. Yeah, she was a great person, she was looking so forward. My sister is due with her first, Phoebe, and she was really looking forward to that. So she'll be there, but she won't. She'll be there in spirit, but she won't physically be there. So it's kind of a bittersweet time right now for all of us.
So you spoke of Marge always asking if you guys wanted anything to eat. What was one of her favorite dishes that she cooked?
That I don't know.
I don't know what the favorite dishes were, but I know that she loved snacks.
She loved sweets.
She loved sweets, cookies, and her and I fought over Oreos a lot, Oreo cookies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, she liked to always sneak in her sweets, and Nora would get on her about her, her diabetes and stuff. So that was always kind of, she was very mischievous when it came to that.
She loved her wine.
She did, yep. We went to dinners. They had family dinners every Friday or Saturday, and we went to a number of them, and she'd always get her glass of wine. So yeah, she tell you, she had a lot of spunk up until the very end. So, yeah.
So tell me about your most memorable memory of her. Something funny, something. I keep hearing people talk about again how much spunk she had, how much fire, you know, always classy, but still had a spark.
Oh yeah.
About her.
I don't think I
We
got
have
one
a favorite single
one
memory.
particular, but no. I mean, every day we hung out with her or with her was enjoyable. Like I said, she had a fiery attitude, and you could get her goat, so to speak, and just get her gone.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I had fun with. She always said I was mean to her, but Nora, her daughter, always knew that I was playing with her. It was a little bit of a good fun gesture.
They were always poking fun at each other.
Yeah, a lot of jesting back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. She could hold her own, that's for sure. So.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just a lot of memories because she was in so many of them. And I guess if you took the time to stop and think, hindsight is 20/20, we probably would have remembered more of them. But yeah, she was a great person, great friend. She had good friends. Like I said, she loved family time, loved her grandchildren, loved to travel, until, she couldn't anymore, but went on a lot of trips. Her kids always included her in a lot of things. Every Monday, Nora would take her to art class. On Sundays, her daughter, Debbie, would take her to church. And then all the girls, lived nearby, so they were able to see their mom a lot.
I think one of the things that stands out a little bit is kind of funny, but she, after not driving for a while, she wanted to get her own car again. So they got her a car, and she'd be driving it back, to church or to wherever. And every once in a while, you go look at the car, and the bumper had to have a dent in it or have a paint scrape on it. And it got to that point where
yeah.
she couldn't drive anymore. But
Right.
she wanted her freedom, and that's what she did.
Yeah, that was hard for her to give up,
But that was funny. You always check the car when you walked over. What's there now?
Yeah. And if you know my dad, you know that he looks for every little blemish on cars, so I'm sure he probably knew when she had scraped up against something, so yeah. So.
Any last thoughts?
She'll be missed.
She will definitely be missed. Yeah, there's definitely a void. Even though she lived to be just under 90, you're never really ready to say goodbye to somebody.
Yep.
So.
My name is Michael, and I knew Marge because I fell in love with her granddaughter, Caitlin. I moved home from Key West on the heels of Hurricane Irma in 2017, I think. And when I moved home, Nora and Jan were gracious enough to take me in as well as a hurricane refugee. And I lived in the basement here in this house with Caitlin and with Granny and Nora and Jan and Mavis and Pippin, the cats, and Rocky and the hateful one. I can't remember her name now. Cricket. So I really got to get to know Granny on a level that I was not anticipating by having a lot of coffee and intimate conversations in the morning where the day would start and we would talk about what was ahead and what was behind and I grew a strong bond with her in a very short period of time, and that's not to say that she gave it to me. It wasn't just handed over. It was slowly earned, and I am eternally grateful for the friendship that I had with her. We've just gotten to a point now where my daughter is on the way, and Granny would tell this poem, and I wish and hope that someone will write it down for me. But it started, Phoebe BB from Mom blah 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 blah, and I could just see the excitement in her eyes every time she would say it, and I looked forward to watching her hold my daughter. And although that's never going to happen, I know that my daughter already does know her, and that she will know her through the course of her life. And that's about it.
Any last words?
I love you, Granny. I'll hold you in my heart the rest of my life. And I'll protect and take care of your granddaughter and your great-granddaughter until my dying breath. I promise.
Oh boy. I know Marge. Marge is a hard worker. She worked at John Carroll for years. And she was a very busy mom and a very busy wife and mother.
Top that off is Marge is a very friendly person.
Yeah, she's very friendly.
And we all got along.
Everybody got along.
Everybody in the block got along, and that was fun. As I said, it was the greatest years of our life.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people today who have shared how funny and friendly Marge was.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any recollections of her sense of humor?
Oh boy.
I'm sorry?
Do you have any recollections of her sense of humor?
Oh, well, I think from what I recognize, I think she was just generally friendly, and she seemed to look on the good side. It was a nice, good Catholic family. And she was very proud of her family.
And if you look at the good kids they had growing up, the whole works, you can see what type of a person she was, because she brought them up right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they're still so nice today. They still look the same.
That's
and I
the
think
kids.
that's a compliment.
Well, we're all going to miss her.
Yes.
Although Betty and I haven't seen Marge in a while, but she worked up by John Carroll, and that's where we moved to. We were up by John Carroll.
Okay.
That's all I can say on that part.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Your relation to Marge.
So I am Debbie Davis, and I am Marge's fourth daughter.
As she would say, I was darling daughter number 4. Yeah.
More than not, the first thing that they had to say about your mother was how kind she was. The second thing was how witty and funny she was.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Of those 2 traits, which one is, do you take from your mother the most?
Well, both. But I would probably say the kind one. So I think I learned from her at just what kindness looks like. And that was just really treating people with dignity and graciousness. And she did that all the time. She could easily befriend people, and she didn't care what someone's background was or who they were. She was just kind to them. So I had a son that I placed for adoption, and when I was in college, and my mom was so supportive of that. And then I reunited with JP. So this would have been one of her grandsons. And when she heard that she was going to meet that grandson, she just was so excited. She loves JP just as much as she loves the grandkids that are regularly in her life. And to me, just showing that grace and love, and everyone was accepted. To me, she was such a big role model for that. And that's really, I try to live my life that way because of her. And on the other side, Ed, you were talking about her wit. You know, one of the things that I took from her is she would always say, I could take things very serious. And she would say, Debbie, just buck up, just buck up. So, you know, she could get through a lot of life difficulties, but just continue to carry on because it was the right thing to do, and still put a smile on her face and go through those hard times, not ignoring them, but just because it's what you had to do. And I really appreciated that about her, especially as I got older and I could see you could see her example in that. She was a wonderful role model in that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So I asked another group earlier that said, well, obviously Marge is in heaven.
Absolutely.
You know, come on.
Absolutely.
You know? So with her in heaven right now looking down upon us,
Uh-huh.
what do you would think she would like to paint?
Well, that's a great question. If she was looking down now, I think she would want to paint all of the people here at this party. It would probably be a beautiful watercolor with some ink lines, but it would just be of all the smiling people and the beautiful weather. She loved painting like the puffy clouds. When we moved close here over Lake Erie, she loved adding those into her pictures, and then she was great at portraits. So I could just kind of see the combination of those things and everyone all together, and she would be trying to capture like the emotion of the happiness. I think she's up there happy that she's saying this is a happy event, because she did that. Did people share how she didn't want this 90th birthday party? Did anyone tell you that? So this was meant as her 90th birthday party, and she did not want to turn 90. She was like, I'm gonna go in reverse. She's like, I'm gonna go 88 this year instead of 90. She did not want us to fuss and have a birthday party, but we're like, no, absolutely, we're gonna have a big party to celebrate you. So yeah, I think she would be smiling and happy and drawing a picture of us all gathered around to celebrate her in a happy way. And she's probably happy she's not having to be the center of attention. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are your closing thoughts on this day and what it would mean to your mother and to listen?
So, I think for me, what I love about this day is that her end of her life was not happy. You know, she had a stroke and it was rough 3 weeks. But because we got to be with her during that time and say our goodbyes then, that now we could celebrate her and her life. And I think that this time has been a very good healing time for us, because we were able to share with so many different people in her life all the good memories and who she was, whether it was people from Montford, like the Cop Fingers that were just here, or old cousins and old relations, just her friends from John Carroll, and so many different people, that to me it's a healing balm to hear those great stories about her. You know, sometimes you catch a story of something where you're like, I didn't know that. And so that's amazing. So to me, this period, being here doing this, is to me just a wonderful tribute to her, because she was a fantastic woman. I always said someone should write a book about her life. And so to me, just to be able to say, this was for you because you deserve to be honored, gives me great pride. And it feeds my soul to know that, you know, I'm part of her, that wonderful woman's legacy. Absolutely.
State your name and your relationship to Marge.
Marge always called me Matt Davis. It's hard. She was my mother-in-law for 4 years. And she was a pleasure. She was taken too soon. And I really haven't accepted that yet. That's about it. Never had a bad thing to say about anybody. And I'm gonna miss her.
You know, oftentimes you hear something in the Bible, you know, and things have been phrased as a lot of the Bible, what is written, you know, it's a parable. So some people say, well, it may not really happen, maybe just trying to use it as a lesson, and so on and so forth, you know. But my Bible tells me that the Lord will send angels among us. You know,
right.
That we may not know, you know, I see him every day, you know, so on and so forth, you know. But when you look at the span of their life over time, you know, the culmination of that sums up that they're angelic.
Right.
And everyone today said that her kindness was
Very.
just throughout. It was her. It was woven
Right.
into her fabric.
She was very talented. I only got to know her for a short time, relatively. And yeah, she's going to be missed. We always had our thing. So, yeah, she always called me Matt Davis. You know, just that. And that was her trademark. And I was accepted into her life from the moment I met her. So, that's all I got. I've not been around this situation at all in my life where I've lost somebody. Except once. It was a long time ago. Maybe selfish, but I'm having a hard time.
As difficult as the loss of such a great woman is, as each year goes by, what used to be tears will turn into a little smile.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And you'll be driving down the road, you'll hear her in her ear say, Matt Davis.
Yep.
You know, you'll hear it. It'll always bring a smile.
Yep.
But
I miss her.
yes. But in her fabric of her being, you know, the reason why you miss her and the type of person that she is sets an example for all of us of how to live our life.
I would hope so. I would hope so. So,
Thank you, Matt Davis.
you got it, dude.
Oh, Heather Mauk, granddaughter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at her. Kathy Mauk. I am her daughter, oldest daughter.
Colleen Mauk, daughter-in-law.
Patrick Mauk, her son.
Well, one of the things, though, I've noticed, we've talked to a lot of different people over the last
month
or so,
right, I think it's coming
especially,
up on a
right?
month. Right.
And it was the number of relatives and people who have come in and talked about how much they loved going out to the cottage, which was out in Ashtabula. And I mean, we're talking people who, even as children, so now this is how many years, like, what would you say? I mean, give me a time frame.
50 years.
Right.
Probably even more because,
right.
yeah.
Right, coming and saying how
they had a good time at the cottage.
And how important,
memories,
and how
right.
important it was, and how much they now as adults appreciate, you know, Mom and my dad sharing that place and saying to family, come out, family time, enjoy this. It was like the ultimate like family
get together,
right. Enjoy family, go swimming, you know, like
it was like this times 7. How many people were out there? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think as people got older, I think as kids we kind of just took it for granted.
Right.
And then, but now, as all these people have come back and we've been talking to them, I can't tell you how many people have come up to us and said, your mom, having us come out to the cottage, it's one of my best childhood memories. I just love that. And you're just like awed because you're like, to us it was like, hey, we're going out for the summer, we're doing this, you know. But it had such a, you know, warm spot in so many people's lives. And I guess you don't think about that until other people come in and say that to you, but it just was resounding.
Right.
It just over and over again, I was like, wow, I didn't understand how much impact it had. We had a great time, we loved it. But as kids, I guess it's just the whole view of seeing other people then come in and talk about how great it was for them that just, I was awed. I really was. I was like, this is amazing.
Because you don't think of it.
Right,
Yeah.
from that perspective.
Right, and then when I met Pat, my parents went out to the cottage. They wound up buying the one next door.
Right.
They were in such awe when Marge had convinced them.
Right.
So then we were out there.
Yeah, there was something about that
Right.
place.
Yeah.
Right, and it was always an ordeal. We're going to go to the cottage for a week. Oh
Right.
my God.
So what?
Okay,
how many miles? How many miles?
Oh, it was only 45 minutes from your house. Driving at 45, you know, it wasn't that far. But you'd pack up. We always had a station wagon.
Right.
Pack it up to the hilt, put stuff on the top,
strapping it down.
Right, and you'd get to Chardon. Oh, everyone's got to get ice cream, and you're only you're 20 minutes away.
Bathroom break.
You know, right? Bathroom break, and we stop and get the water at the state park because for some reason that pump water was good, but the one at the cottage wasn't. And
nobody liked the water at the cottage because
Yeah.
it was like from a well, and
You
so
know,
this
so
was a better well.
Yeah, you always
or
had to fill
whatever.
up the jugs.
Yeah, the big water. It was like the big milk containers,
Yeah,
the big
yeah, the
plastic containers. Yeah.
So we had to do that and stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah, it
When you
was-
think back on it, it was like, man, that was like a 10-hour journey. No,
Right,
it was
no,
45,
it's 45 minutes. Yeah. You know, you'd be like, nowadays you compare like, oh, I'm driving to Myrtle Beach.
Right, right.
Or yeah,
Right.
I'm you
No.
know, and it's 10
That's
minutes,
great.
yeah,
Right.
45 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The journey.
Good times.
Yep.
But they made it fun, and she would always have songs to sing and stuff like that to keep you occupied because that's just
Because
the
it
way
was
she
45
was.
minutes.
Right, yeah, it was 45 minutes.
And
Right.
there was always like one place, there was a barn that every year, so it was like this
Right.
abandoned barn, so every year we'd watch for this barn that was slowly like tipping over,
Right, rotting.
tipping over,
Right.
tipping over every year. There was
Until it
always
was
like
gone.
certain things, right,
Right.
exactly, you watch on the way out there for. Yeah, so it was interesting.
Taught us to look at stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, to us, that was like the country.
Right.
Because
Right.
we lived in Cleveland Heights,
Right.
right? Cows.
Yeah. Wow. Horses.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Stuff like that. Swimming and
Definitely.
canoeing.
Yep.
And that's one thing she always wanted for us to know how to swim.
Oh yeah, that was
and
a
that's
big
sort
deal.
of what we passed on to our daughter. You have to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
You got to
Oh,
learn
yeah.
how to swim. Right.
Yeah.
So.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Swimming lessons.
Now, you as a younger,
Yes.
how was your recollection of Marge?
Granny was the best. She was always so fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Granny loved us, but like my fiance Michael and my sister's boyfriend Chad, like Granny loved us, but like
She loved
she
them.
loved her boys. Like we showed up
It's
places.
true.
If
It's
we
true.
weren't there, she'd be like,
Where are the
"Where are
boys?"
the boys? Like
Yeah.
they have to work. Like
Oh.
I'm like, I'm sorry, we're disappointed. But
granddaughters are
Yeah.
Right, right, exactly.
But Granny was the best. She was always so fun. We
Always
had a great time.
included everybody.
She had the best house.
The one on Montford,
The
right?
old house that they grew up in, that was the best house. The two-tiered. We were talking about it the other day. The two-tiered backyard, and like the kids had free reign. I don't know, like I don't ever remember seeing an adult in the house growing up. Like we just had like free reign in the backyard, and then upstairs where you guys all lived, that they bedrooms attached. So Vicky's room attached, like was directly across the hall from where Auntie Mona and Auntie Debbie slept, and then your room was attached to that.
Yep.
Where you could just run through and then go into the attic and then run down the stairs straight to the basement where Dad was. Like just free reign,
Right.
full
Yeah.
thing into the backyard. I don't ever remember like being like seeing an adult in the house when we were just like everywhere all the time running.
But that's how it was even
chaos.
at the cottage though too. We were talking about it. It was just like back in the day where you were a kid, you were just running around. You don't remember being like, oh no, stay here, stay here. It was always just like running, going. Be home by the time the lights come on.
The lights went on, right?
Yeah.
Like street lights.
Right.
Yeah. So.
We had a lot of fun at that house.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, Jake, Caitlin, me, and Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like there was always other kids there, and I was like,
Yeah.
just the
Right.
friendly
Well,
the
they
neighborhood
probably
or
were joining in
something,
on the
yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was great.
So I hear Marge had a fantastic sense of humor. Can someone recall a time where she said something that was just hilarious?
I can.
She was always
Go
up for
ahead.
anything. to
Go
say.
for it.
So, Granny would say anything. Like, she had no filter. And I remember she first met Michael, and Michael has like a beard. She's like, can you just give me a kiss? It's been so long since I've kissed a man with a beard.
And everyone's going, oh, okay.
I was like, I'm not gonna say no, it's your grandma. And then, so like, it was like the second time he met her.
Yeah, so he's like,
and so he's like, okay. And so from like then on out, she's like, oh, it's been so long since I kissed a man with a beard. And I was like, just try to stay on my hand. And like, I can't even be mad.
Right, because you're like, hey, she's Granny, right? Yeah.
Oh my.
Yep.
She had a good sense of
Right.
humor.
She had no filter, would just say it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, for
Well,
sure.
she was also a good cook. She would always make, like on Sunday, something, chicken and dumplings.
Yes, awesome.
Spaghetti and meatballs, like homemade meatballs. And always in the morning, when we were little, she made us eat oatmeal to get out to school. She had oatmeal.
Because it stuck to your,
stuck
to your ribs.
Stuck to your ribs,
Right.
right, she'd say.
Yep.
Yeah, so she was and she also made some good desserts too.
Oh yeah.
Like the cherry cheesecake and
Oh
stuff
my
like
God,
that.
yeah.
We should have made that.
Awesome.
Someone should have made that.
Yeah, she has her specialty. Didn't
Yeah.
she do pigs in the blanket?
Pigs in a blanket.
Stuffed
right.
peppers.
Pepper. Yeah, she was a good cook. She
Yeah.
would. When we were little, she
Red
cooked all the
cheesecake.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
But
That's what for in remembrance of this day.
she would have loved it.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the people
She shined
here.
her down,
Right.
For sure. The good
Right.
ones.
She
Right.
would have loved it.
Yeah.
And then she would have sat in here in this chair and watched it on video.
Oh yeah.
Later, so-
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's glad everybody's here.
Well, it was interesting because part of her was like, I can't believe I'm going to be 90, and like 90's old, you know.
Yeah.
And you were like, but Mom, you know. It was so interesting because I would meet people who would then meet Marge, and they would be like, oh my God, your mother is like so vital and such a riot and so fun to be around. And I think you'd have to kind of like step back and go,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, she is. I used to call her spicy. She's very spicy, you know. But you kind of had to have someone else say to you,
Wow.
you know,
Look
right.
at your mom go.
Look at Mom go. And she was like, oh, 90, it's so old. And I was like, Mom, people want to celebrate you. And I said,
Right.
you need to embrace that. Don't feel it's like everyone going, oh, you're 90, as much as,
Wow, you're 90.
wow, you're 90. This is
Wow.
awesome. Let's all
Right.
do that.
And she, yes.
Right.
Yes. But like when we were down in Siesta Key, she went
Kayaking.
kayaking in the mangroves.
Yeah,
Right.
That was
Yes, that was
years
yeah,
ago. 3 years
yeah.
ago.
We're like, wow,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Right.
she
She'd try
she was
it.
up for anything.
Yeah.
She would
Yeah,
do it.
she would try
If
it.
she could do it, she would do it.
Right.
And even sometimes you were like, no, you can't do that.
They were, yeah, when they were in the kayak,
Yeah.
and they were, everybody's like, can she do it? The guy's like, if she can, I'll just strap her on.
Right, well,
and
and he did, and he tugged her for a while,
Yeah.
but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's the
awesome.
best.
Yeah, that was good. Typical.
Oh, yeah, if she could, she would.
Yeah.
Hello, it's nephew Danny.
Niece Katie.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird one, I guess, sitting down and trying to talk about and bring back but I guess the biggest thing would be to share would be how wonderful it was growing up and knowing that we kind of like had a second family just on the other street. If we needed to run over there and kind of hang out, and Aunt Marge always kind of took care of us and made sure that we were, as when we came to her house, felt always very welcome, with the snacks and everything that we might, need. Just it was a very nice place to go and hang out, and she's always very kind to us, and missed her a lot. So.
Marge was awesome. She stepped in when my wedding was in the afternoon, my reception was in the evening, and my mother was freaking out. And Marge says, "Oh, you can all come back to my house." So she opened up her home to a lot of family members to come over, and helped us out that way. And Marge was just, I don't have a specific memory, just that she was always there for us, and always more like a second mom than aunt.
Yes.
Just couldn't imagine life without her. She was awesome.
Well, the other thing I remember is she was always very no nonsense. I mean, you really knew, one way to say it, but you kind of knew your place. You knew that you weren't going to complain about stuff, because she was always going to let you know how it was, and she was always there for you, but she was always going to be honest with you too. So really, it's nice to have her to be able to run things by and stuff like that. And, just always felt like home when we went over and visited with Aunt Marge and Uncle Eddie. So.
Plus, we also had they had a cottage, so everybody would go to the cottage. So all the family members and cousins and aunt and uncles would all get together, and we'd play pinochle and just go swimming in the lake and stuff. And everybody was always welcome at any time, whatever. And that's an awesome feeling. So.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep. Nice having that extended family. We were very blessed with everybody, but in particular Ed and Marge. So.
Any last words?
That's good. Well,
That's good.
We love you. Love the family. We love Miss Aunt Marge. We really, honestly, big part of our life. So very blessed to have you had her in our lives.
Marge, you're missed every day, everyone.
I'm Jan Bass. I'm her son-in-law, Nora's husband. Well, I'm not sure if I know a particularly specific moment of kindness. Her life, I think her life was centered on the idea of her being kind. I mean, don't get me wrong, she wasn't kind all the time. There was, everybody has a little slip-ups, but I don't think anybody worked harder at being kind purposefully than she did. Her and I were a very good complement here in the house. She was, I used to tease her a lot, but she loved it. So I miss her a lot. So, but her kindness was, I mean, I don't know anybody who will say an unkind thing about her, okay? Because she was really a child of God. She really did like her religion. She was a Catholic through and through, and I don't know anybody who was more Catholic than she was, except for her family. The Hopins are the same way. They are dedicated Catholics. So she's just a good person. I'm going to miss her a lot. Right? She like I said, she if you ever met her, after the first day, I mean, she would put you at ease immediately. She would show kindness to you in all ways. So I really can't pick one. I mean, it was so constant, I can't pick one overarching instance. I really can't, because she lived her life that way. So, like I said, other people know her longer than I have, but I can't think of one. I don't know if I believe in God or not. I probably don't, but whatever happened, there was a confluence of events that made her go to John Carroll and be the person she was and be the person that she ended up being. I mean, she did love everything, and my wife would take her to Target and dress her up, and she was a very good egg when it comes to like being the attention. She just loved the attention too. She was a good person. Like I said, she did not have a good life. in the beginning. And I think she made it a point that at a certain point she was going to have a good life. And she did everything she can to make sure that she had a good life and her kids had a good life. And, you know, I know two people in my life that, I'm not a Catholic, but I was raised Catholic. If they were going to be a saint, she would be one.
Yes.
Okay? And I have a friend, my old landlord was the same way. Would do anything for you. We would break his windows playing ball, you know what I mean? No complaints, and Margie was like that too. You know, you couldn't really rile her up. So the only thing that riled her up was she couldn't do the things that she wanted to do. Her mind was sharp until the end, till the very last day. Okay, so for the past 3 months, so you noticed that she wasn't able to do what she was doing 5 months ago, and that was disappointing to her, and she got depressed. But I would be depressed too. So she lived a really good life. In the last 10 years living with us was a blessing for us. So.
I'm Jenny Kavanaugh, and Aunt Marge was my great aunt, so she was my dad's aunt.
I'm Jessica Vendetti, and same. Marge was my great aunt on my dad's side.
So, are there any thoughts, experiences, or events that really stood out to you about Marge?
I just always remember going to their house there was always a party over there, and there was always stained glass things hanging in the window, and I always remember eating cheesecake that someone made that was so good, and it was like the first time I ever ate it, and I only got to eat it at Aunt Marge's house. So I remember that from being little, playing in their backyard. So always lots of tables and everyone being always at their house.
I think I remember sort of the family in general going to their cottage as kids. When they would go to the cottage for the weekend, then we would get to go with our family and have like a campfire and play horseshoes and go swimming out at their cottage. When we were kids, we did that often, and that was always really, really fun.
Like I've never seen Aunt Marge not have a smile on her face, and just was always just happy to see you, and I've never heard her yell at anybody, and just seemed like the most laid back person I've ever met. So yeah, just very welcoming and yeah, super nice.
She always had sort of unassuming, humble way about how she went through, like, if she was in a room and doing whatever needed to be done, she wasn't making a big deal out of it. So in terms of taking care of everyone around her, if we were at a party at her house, I was running around in the backyard, and you would often find her in the kitchen doing whatever needed to be done and not making a big deal out of it, but just taking care of everybody without,
drawing attention to herself.
Yes.
Yeah. Just always kind of flying under the radar, like,
right.
Yeah. So.
Any other thoughts about memorable moments?
I have a lot of memories at the cabin, like always having, family meals out on the screen porch. That, and then I remember you had to like drive down the road a little bit to get to the beach. And so then we would be in the water, because we were really little kids, probably
like under 10.
Less than that. I mean, probably 3-4 years old, and we'd be in the water, and our feet would get really sandy, and I remember the adults would always take us in and wash us off the water, and they'd have to pick us up and carry us across the beach and like up onto the grass before they were able to put us down, and then riding down the gravel road with like in Pat's Jeep, or which is her other kids, but it was our cousins. It was like my dad's cousins, but we didn't really realize that they were big cousins. They were just all these big other adults that were just taking care of us, and so it was just always a million people over there, and playing in the water and playing out in the yard and having popsicles, and there was always dogs everywhere, and just family and just hanging out, and just.
She was just always very happy to have everybody.
Just a lot of family together all the time.
To have the family around. I think for me as an adult, the biggest Aunt Marge moment that just always stays in my mind, and I've talked about this a lot in the last 2 weeks, is that, you know, she baptized my daughter while I was holding my child, and she just came up and she said, "So when is this baby's baptism?" And I said, "Oh, you know, we'll get to it, and we're not sure, and we're going to do it at some point." But I wasn't part of the Catholic Church anymore, and so I was just going to do some sort of something on my own to do a sort of christening, baptism type thing, but I hadn't nailed anything down yet, and my daughter was probably at this point well into her first year of life. And, you know, Marge just dipped her fingers into her glass of water and said, "Okay, God bless," and she baptized my child because she felt that that's what needed to be done and she was going to take care of it. And again, very unassuming, and, you know, she just, but that's always stuck out to me, that, and learning more about her since she passed away, just really struck me as to why her Catholicism and her faith was so important to her, and why it was so important that she felt that was a way for her to take care of my kid. And again, just taking care of the people around her. So anyway, that's the one that just, like, I still know where we were standing, and I can still see her face, and that moment just sticks in my head.
Any other closing thoughts?
She was a great lady, and we'll miss her.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to imagine them, you know, it's just like a, you know, somebody that's just a staple that's always there, and just, you know, just somebody you assume you're always going to see, and, "Oh, where's Aunt Marge? Let me go give her a hug," and, "Oh, Jenny, good to see you," and, you know, just the idea of showing up at a party and them not being there is, you know, something's definitely missing. But you know they're in a better place, but it's just almost weird for them to not be around because they've just always been there.
Yeah, she's been part of the landscape.
Yeah.
Even though she was our great aunt, definitely part of the landscape of our whole life.
Yeah.
So we grew up down the street
Yeah.
until I was 10, you were 9.
Yeah.
Whenever we're ready.
Yeah, whenever
Okay.
you're ready.
My name's Mandy, and I think I'm technically Marge's step-granddaughter.
Okay.
And I'm Molly. I'm also Marge's step-granddaughter.
Okay. So, say whatever you like about Marge and what she meant to you, and some memorable moments that you can think of her.
Okay. She always was very welcoming to us. We were a new addition to the family, but she never made it feel that way.
No. I feel like she always treated us just like another one of the grandkids.
Okay.
So it was really nice.
She adored our little kids, my 2 little kids. I remember she came to my daughter's 2nd birthday, and we had all these animals, wild farm animals, in the yard for a barn party, and she was out there petting the donkeys and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, she was an animal lover.
Yeah. Uh-huh. They always invited us to family dinners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did a lot of those Friday night dinners, and a lot of the times me and Marge would sit right next to each other and just chat. It was nice to just have a drink with her and just talk about life.
Mm-hmm. So, I understand that Marge was a very avid painter, an artist.
Yes.
Okay. On a day like today, what do you think that she would be painting?
Well, I actually didn't know this about her until she passed away, and then our stepmom Debbie was showing us everything.
Okay.
So we learned a lot about her, even more than
Right.
we knew.
Yeah.
So I know she liked to do
like nature,
watercolors,
Yeah.
and nature and portraits. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I feel like she would probably maybe today would paint like something like the nature, like something beautiful. It's like such a beautiful day.
Okay.
Backyard maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other thoughts?
We're being camera shy.
You'll be on camera shot today.
Yeah.
Be out there Instagram and live.
No, we don't do that either.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What was it? Marge, aunt-in-law? My
So
wife's
Marge
aunt.
is my aunt. Her husband was my mother's brother, and this is my husband Pete. And Marge has been a whole part of our married, ever since I've known Pete. Yeah, Marge has been a part of it. So.
Are we live?
Yes.
Oh, I met Marge when I dated Nora a couple times. And then I stopped dating Nora. She was a nice girl, but no sparks. Then I met Katie, Nora's cousin, and there's been sparks since the first time I saw her. And Marge was an awesome lady, and we used to go to her cottage with her and Ed, and I used to play horseshoes with Ed, and everybody treated me like I was family, and it was very awesome. And I have nothing but fond memories of Marge. And Marge's daughter turned me on to this girl, so I'm really happy. So what else?
So if my recollection is correct, Marge threw a party for you because of your reception during your wedding. This was another big thing that
Remember?
Marge had.
Remember, our wedding was in the morning, and then the reception was in the evening, and my mother was flipping out because there's nowhere for everybody to go in the afternoon between the morning reception.
House?
Yeah, Marge had us all over, and
I'm getting old. My memory's not that good.
well, we weren't there all the time because we went and visited your grandmother in the hospital. But all of the relatives and all of my father's relatives, the Dailies were there also. My aunt Lou and my aunt, can't remember her name, Aunt Mary, I think. Married to Bill Daly. Bill and, can't remember their names. And their daughters were nuns, they were there, the sisters were there. So it was just it was awesome that she was willing to open her house and clean her house, because I know having big family gatherings, whatever, you had to clean your house and get everything ready, whatever. So she was awesome. Never.
Great people, great daughters and son. Very good.
Yeah, and Nora and Kathy and Pat and Debbie and Vicki have felt more than like siblings than just cousins. So it's been wonderful, wonderful growing up, being part of one big family.
So any other last words?
Nope.
Final thoughts on the day?
We're gonna miss Marge and Ed and everybody else has passed. It's a beautiful day to celebrate their memory forever.
Yep, awesome people.
Wait, any chives?
No, you're good.
I brushed my teeth.
Oh, I did not,
I
but
didn't.
I'm kind of
Pat's
worried.
flossing in his mouth right now. You
Yeah.
are talking.
So here we are.
Here we are.
The children that all of my guests that were not blood relatives for said that Marge raised an awesome family.
Oh, well, That's
You
awesome.
know, you know,
Nice to
the
know.
the best girls. You know, handsome son.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Oh, you go on.
Yeah.
everyone complimented her about, you know, how she had this family and this unit that was together for eternity. You know, it seems like, you know, like we can't remember life before Marge, you know, and hard to see life without Marge, you know. So I have one question. Who was Marge's favorite kid?
Oh, that's easy.
I say Nora.
No.
Oh, maybe it was Debbie.
No.
it was
Oh, it was Kat.
It was no. We all will agree it was
Do you want to know why?
All right, we'll tell you the stories of why we know Pat was the favorite.
It
Go.
was the shillelagh.
The chalet St. Patrick's Day cake.
The Huff Bakery.
The story of the Huff Bakery cake.
Absolutely.
Pat,
I shared the cake.
No, it wasn't a matter you didn't share it.
tell the story about the cake.
Every St. Patrick's
Every
Day.
St. Patrick's Day, my mom would go to Huff Bakery, get a green cake with the chocolate pipe on there. And that's what we would have to celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
But it was for
Me.
Patrick.
St. Patrick.
Right. I mean, and back in the day, it wasn't like we went to Huff Bakery and
Every-
got cakes.
It was a special occasion.
It was a very
He was the
special
favorite.
occasion.
He was the favorite.
Totally.
Which was okay.
Right. Right.
It's alright, Pat.
It's okay.
We don't
Somebody
know.
had to carry that.
Yeah, right.
And you wore it well.
Right. Awesome.
Right.
Mom.
Mommy. Mommy.
Mommy.
Mommy.
Merge.
Mom.
Is he on?
Margie. Yeah. Is the oven on?
Mom. Mom. I need you. I need you. Mom.
Badger.
And then Vicky would say, I'm awake.
Good times.
Good times. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Okay.